Welcome to Homeschooling and Life Unfiltered with Court and Jess, where real talk meets real life. Court and Jess are two friends, fellow moms, and business partners who live in different time zones and juggle homeschooling alongside motherhood and entrepreneurship. Jess is a mom of 8 and Court is a mom of 7, and together they're raising 15 kids and navigating the wild, wonderful world of homeschooling, each in completely different ways. Every week, we invite you to pull up a chair for honest conversations, practical tips, and uplifting encouragement. You'll hear from moms across the country who are homeschooling in a way that works best for their families. Whether you're a veteran homeschool mom just getting started or somewhere in between, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Because no matter how different our paths may look, we are all in this together. Hello, welcome to Homeschooling and Life Unfiltered with Court and Jess. All right, today we're just going to talk about goals. Everyone has goals on their mind, right? We're wrapping up the end of the school year, not school year, I wish. We're wrapping up the end of 2025, the end of the year. And I think everybody kind of starts thinking mid-December about like looking forward, like looking at 2026 and also kind of taking a look back, right? Like at what we did and what we've accomplished, or what were our goals last January, almost a year ago. What did we set? Did we do these things? Kind of taking a, just a look. And so that's kind of what I want to chat about today. And you guys, I fully didn't prep Jess about any of these things. I'm just going to we're on the fly today, but I want to know how do you set goals? Like, that's kind of a curious question. Like, everybody does something different, right? Everybody comes with a different framework. Do you set goals? Some people don't even set goals. Like, that's a thing. People just wing it and fly by the seat of their pants, which I don't think that's probably you. That's definitely not me. So kind of just, what do you do, and how did you do this year with your goals? And then I would love to meet in a couple weeks after we've had time to kind of process and think about what we're going to do for this next year, and what are some goals that we're setting for ourselves for 2026. So this is going to be kind of a two-part.
I love it. So I recently heard, and I wish that I could remember who said it, but I did not say it, so I won't take credit for it. But it was in a book I read, but the author was talking about how, if you think about, like, I can't remember the example he used, but let's say like the Olympics, maybe that was his example. But everybody there has the same goal, right? Everybody's goal is to get a gold medal, every single one of them. But only one of them reaches the goal. And he was really just talking about how it's not enough to just set a goal. The goal isn't even the most important thing. It's your action plan. Like, how are you going to achieve your results? And so I put just as much thought into my action steps as I do to what my actual goal is. And so for me, that's a big part of the process. So like recently, even, I'm so proud of myself. It's not even New Year's, and I've got my goal list right now of things that I'm personally working on. And these are what I'm talking about now is specifically just my personal goals, not work-related goals, or even homeschool-related goals. Are just like my goals for me as a mom and as a person and as a woman. And I put a pretty decent amount of thought into how I would achieve them, how I would track them, how I would hold myself accountable. And actually today I launched the first day of it. And it went really well. I'm happy to report. But I think if I didn't spend that time ahead of time of, what am I going to do every day? How am I going to keep track? Where am I going to write it down? All those things, it would feel really overwhelming. So for me to think through those things, it helps me they're more achievable because I don't feel overwhelmed. Because when I do feel really overwhelmed, I tend to then just shut down and, abandon it, right? Like I'm an excellent list maker. I'm really, really good at making lists. But if I don't follow through that next step of, okay, how am I going to hold myself accountable, number one, and what are my action steps, then I don't always get to check everything off my list. So, yeah. And then I'm really good too about reviewing past goals. So like actually right now you can't see it, but I have a bulletin board right on my desk, and I have my goals from last year, like my big goals from last year on here. And some I'm doing really good at, and others I'm not. And so I have actually two things on here. So it's my goals, and then and then my plan. So then I'm able to see what my goals are and then what's my plan to get there.
So do you make like one goal, like, right now for next year, or like multiple goals, whatever, or do you like revamp them throughout the year? Do you come back to them, or do you just really focus in and that's what you make then is what you make?
So the cool thing is, so like I'll look back at them, like I have them somewhere where I can see all the time. So I'm always kind of looking back at them, but the way that I have it set up, I don't really have a need to like go back and reassess my whole goals because I've already done all that legwork. As long as I'm following my steps each day, it's already worked into that. I'm already reviewing them every day because part of my step is to have it where I see it every day. Or I have a certain place that I have to go to on my phone to mark it off. And usually, so like for me, until it becomes a habit. So like, let's say like, I'm going to pull up my goals right now.
I was going to say, I want to know what are some of your goals.
The ones that I just did, see, my phone.
From this last year? Or these ones from?
These are ones from today.
Well, don't tell those yet. We're going to talk about those in a couple of weeks. I'm just
I went to pull them up. My phone got linked to an iPad. So what should be my top note is like 12 notes down because I can see one of my little girls has been doing handwriting notes in the iPad that are now saved on my phone. Okay, so my goals, so like one of my goals from last year was get 8 hours of sleep per night, like non-negotiable. Because as Courtney knows, I am not very good at that, or I wasn't very good at that, but I have been really, I wouldn't say that I hit that goal all year long, but I'm at a place now where I'm hitting that goal. So it took me
but let's give yourself some grace. You made that goal and you had a baby like 2 weeks prior to that goal being set.
True.
So like
actually these goals were set in January. So these ones were set after I had the baby, but still, yes, I was like
you
super
just had a baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was to get 8 hours of sleep a night. And for me, that meant, I was getting up with a baby, but it meant like being in bed at a time where I knew that I could be in bed for 8 hours. It might be disrupted sleep, but I was physically in bed for 8 hours. And then it's been such an interesting year. So then the next one of the, so I'm not a big morning person, as I know that you're not a big morning person either, but without going into too much detail, I've had a really interesting health journey this year, and found out that there's an actual, like there's a biological reason that I'm not a morning person. And so now that's fixed. And now I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning and I'm just like out of bed, ready to go. Like it's like
a biological excuse why I hate mornings.
I know. Well, and like I told the doctor, I'm like, I've always just felt really, really lazy, and then now to find out that like, a certain, like a part of my brain did not create, my pituitary gland did not create cortisol. And that's what helps you to create a circadian rhythm and to be able to like have energy and all those things. So, so now I have cortisol and I can wake up anytime that I want. It's like a miracle. And so that one I did achieve fully, but I also didn't really, I kind of cheated because it's not like I worked to it, but I progressed through this amazing.
You figured it out and
and now like, yeah, I can wake up at 5, I can wake up at 6, like anything with no problem, no side effects. Like I used to get really, really sick if I woke up too early. Like if I woke up at 5 or 6, I would be really, really, really sick. So yeah, super interesting. Let's see so I always seem to have, goals around eating too, like just trying to, it's really important to me to kind of break the mold of the American diet. And so I try really, really hard. That's hard when you do love Dr. Pepper, but other than that, I do really pretty good. But like another one was surrounding like scripture study, exercise, drinking more water, just things that will contribute to me being able to do like bigger things, to like be able to be more focused. So instead of saying like, I want to be more focused, right? Well, why am I not focused? Is it because I need to transition into a less distracting office space, which is why I'm in this little cove that's totally unfinished. You'll see a totally different background next time. But I really focus in on the root causes in my goals too. I guess I should have said that. So I'm not just setting like, I want to be more focused. Well, why am I not focused? Okay, those are my goals. That's where I set my goals. So those are, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but there you go.
No, totally. That's so fun. So do you always have like certain, like categories? Do you always, like for yourself, like, you might set an exercise goal, you might set a food goal, you might set a church goal, you might set a, like, do you have categories you follow, or is it just kind of willy-nilly?
Yeah, good question. So I always end up with different categories, obviously, but I never go in saying like, I want one exercise goal and I want one work-related goal and one church-related goal. It really goes back to like examining like my joy list. We've talked about the joy lists before, right? Like what brings me joy and what steals my joy. And so a lot of times the goals are derived from the list of what steals my joy. So if I see that there's like a lot of things that are stealing my joy, then I go back to those root causes. Well, why? Like one thing that steals my joy is being late. I hate being late. I don't hate being late. I hate being rushed. Like I hate being rushed. I don't like who I am as a mom when I'm rushed.
Yeah.
Right? Because like
Cruella comes out.
What's that?
I said Cruella comes out.
100%, right? And like, and so, for example, then one of my goals might be, so if we're in a season where we're always feeling very rushed, or I'm feeling very rushed, then one of the goals might be to make sure all of our stuff is ready the night before for our activities, things like that. But yeah, that's a great question. So I don't necessarily say I want one thing from each category, because then I feel like the goals are forced and my heart's not fully in it. But if I really start with the why first, I'm setting this goal because it's stealing my joy. It's so much easier to get behind that goal and stick with it.
Do you set goals for, like you talk about your goals for yourself, but do you set goals for school or for your home or for your family, things like that, marriage and,
Yeah, for sure. So, definitely. I read this book once. It's one of my favorite books. It's called Professionalizing Motherhood. And so I think of that concept of like, okay, we run a business, right? So for example, we run a business and we have meetings, right, with our CFO, our accountant who manages money. We have a meeting with people who are directing different portions of our program. We have meetings with people who are helping, students who are having academic trouble and all those things. And why do we not apply that same type of structure to our home and to our marriage? Why are we not having weekly meetings with our husbands to talk about finances? Why are we not having weekly meetings with our kids to discuss their upcoming work week, which is their school week? And so, so yes, because I take that same approach where, and sometimes I'm more structured about it than others. So there was, I think it was 2 years ago, I was really structured with the goals I had for each kid for the school year. I didn't do that this year, and I should have. That feels like a hole. So I might do that now before January, set goals for the remainder of the year. But we also had I didn't set them last year because we had a baby, and then I just didn't do it for this year because it just wasn't in the same routine after taking a year off from doing that. But we definitely set goals for the marriage, the running of the household, things like that. But again, we don't just set them to set them. Like we don't just set a marriage goal so that we have one. We'll set it if there's a need, right? But that's we should do a whole nother one on marriage and that kind of stuff, because I think it's just not talked about enough. But we'll leave that one for another day.
All right, that's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
So I do things totally different. Shocking.
Oh, cool. I'm excited to hear.
So I have since 2018, I have no idea how many years that was. That's a long time. I picked a word of the year. And so then everything I do and every goal I make my focus is around that word.
All right.
And so it started in 2018. I read this or heard this somewhere, and I was in the throes of like motherhood. Like, we're talking 2018. Macy would have been like 4. So I had probably 16 to 4, like 7 kids, like throes of craziness. So my word was joy. Like I needed to find some joy.
Yeah.
And so that was just like my focus, like everything we did and everything I said like was joy. And so every year I pray and I think, and you know what I mean? I really, whatever, like, what do I need? And it was super interesting. Like 2020. So like in January of 2020, my word was simplify. Like that was my word. And then look at what happened, you know? So, I mean, sometimes like it really does correlate, to it. Sometimes I pick a scripture and I stick a scripture to it. But I've only done that once. I should say sometimes I've only done that once. Because that was what felt right. And so like last year's 2025 was create. That was my word. And so, and when I went into it, I was like, well, I had all these things that I wanted to do and I wanted to build and I wanted to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I realized like when school was starting, so like, you know, in August, September, it's kind of that time where we're setting the goals for the school. And that's when I do a lot of my homeschooly, like goalie things, you know, not just in January. I realized that I was like, I don't even remember what my word was. So I had to go back and look it up. And I was like, oh, I needed this. Like I wanted to create habits and we created a podcast and like I had all these things. And so what I did, I'm such a nerd. I will fully own that also.
I know you are.
So what came with it is I was doing a class with like the young women in our like the girls, our teenage girls in our church. And I was teaching a journaling class. And so I got them all these journals. And as I was teaching them, like how to use a journal and kind of like different ways you can use it. And I was like, you know, one of my things was create. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to work on creating habits. Like I'm going to spend the next quarter of the year, you know, like the last quarter of the year working on creating habits because that fits my goals. And so I came up with these like 30-day challenge ideas. You can't read it, but like I came up with all of these things that you could do like in a challenge. And I gave myself 6 every single month. So since, you know, September, I've given myself 6 challenges every month to like create these habits of just changing some things that I didn't like, you know what I mean? Just easy things. So they were like, one of them was donate one thing every day per month. So like on the first you donate one thing, and then on the second you donate 2 things, and on the third you donate 3 things, and 4. Okay, so
the whole month.
Yeah. So I couldn't like realistically like have time to do that. So what I did, I'm a nerd. I will fully own it. I went through and I wrote out all the days. Here you can see it. So this is like 2020s and 21s and 27. So every time I threw something away or got rid of something or donated, I would cross it off. So at the end of the thing, I donated 496 items. If you do that for a month. Yeah. So that was one of them. And mine was like spend 10 minutes doing yard work because I had weeds that were driving me crazy, but I don't want to spend my whole Saturday, but I could spend 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I set like a walking goal, a drinking water goal, doing something spiritual every day, working on our side business. You know what I mean? Like just some things that like I needed to put into my life that you can do 10 minutes at a time, right? It's amazing what you can do 10 minutes at a time. And so that was one month. And then the next month I have to scroll through it. So I just kept track. And so I just put, sorry, I'm just trying to find it. So I just put like the thing and I put every day of the month and then I would just cross it off if I did it. So
yes, I do the same thing.
To cross off. And then at the end of the thing, I'd be like, well, if my goal is to walk 6,000 steps, I did that 30 days. Like I did that every day of the month in November. So yay. And so then I would be like, well, that's a habit now. I don't necessarily need to put that in my goal for the next one.
I do the same thing. Yeah. Or you closely.
Yeah. And like one of mine was like holiday prep. I knew that my Christmas was going to be crazy and I wanted to make sure that I enjoyed it. And so in November, I set a goal to like do some kind of Christmas prep every day or holiday prep. To read before bed. So I used to would go to bed with Jeremy and we would just watch TV. Yeah. And I was like, this is a terrible habit. I don't sleep as good. Like I'd stay up later because then I'd be like, let's watch one more. And so I flipped it and poor Jeremy, but I was like, oh, we're going to read before bed. So sometimes he'll still watch sports and I'll read, but like I do way better if I read before bed. And so I've been doing it for 2 months straight and my sleep has been way better. And so we'll watch TV on the weekends. Like we still watch TV a little bit, but just having those things and being intentional, like having a family night, having an activity for a family night, not just, you know, everybody goes to their own corners and does their own thing, like being super intentional.
And don't you think the kids just pick up on that too? Like we were talking about the activities that, so I've been really surprised the Advent activity. Again, I give you all the credit and praise because it's such a great idea. So powerful. And do you know who I think loves it the most? It's not my 10-year-old. It's not even me. It's my 16-year-old teenage boy. Like, I didn't know that, because right, like he's at this age where he's got a girlfriend and he plays varsity sports and he does, he acts and he's busy, right? Like he's super busy and he's a typical teenage boy in a lot of ways. He's, kind of too cool for the world sometimes, right?
Yeah.
He's a really cool kid. I will admit that. But he's 100% engaged in these activities. And the other day I said something yesterday, like, oh, he had something going on. I'm like, well, we wouldn't be able to do the event activity. And he's like, oh, shoot. And he was so genuinely like disappointed. I'm like, you know what? We'll do it when you get home. It's no big, we'll hold it for you. But I think that intentional piece, like you said, is so important, not just with our goals, but like the ones we set with our families. And I think our kids appreciate it way more than we realize.
Yeah. One of the things I started out with last year in January was my creating was that having an intentional family night, and everybody would take turns planning it.
Yeah,
we did really good, and then life happened, and we've kind of fallen out of it, right?
I know.
And I think it's because I had a kid like start something on Mondays, and so he was gone from 6 days. And I was like, well, one kid's gone, like we're just not doing it anymore. But now we've rearranged our schedule so that we have Mondays again, and so Mondays is going to be family night, and we take turns. And sometimes we go bowling, or we go mini golfing, or we play games, or not read books. We don't ever read books together. We we'll like watch a movie together, like have a themed dinner night. You know what I mean? Like an intentional movie night, not just a let's sit in front of the TV. Yeah. So anyway, so that's something I want to go back into. And so Christmas craziness always, we get to do those things. So we do a lot of family things. But I will say one thing is that you can't hold activities if they can't all come. Like we just still have to do it. And if it's important to them, they'll come, and they do. Like, you know what I mean? There are some things that we make sure we plan around because they want to make sure that they're there. But I have found that I have to let that go, and I can't just like, oh, we can't do that. We'd never get anything done if everyone had to be there, right? Yeah. Like I had to embrace that, and that was so hard for me.
It is hard. Well, and that's been hard. Like with our daughter being in college, we did what you suggested, which is like go through the list and say, okay, well, which ones do you feel like you have to? But here's what happened. She wanted to be at so many, so now we're doing like 3 activities in one day, the 4 days leading up to Christmas, and she's home. But yeah, there are things that we're not doing with everybody because we just can't.
Yeah.
I tried to convince my son that he should come with us for the pedicure day, but we're just going to do it when he's gone because he's like, no, Mom. I'm like, come on, you don't have to do polish. It's just like nail care. And he's like, no way.
My husband loves pedicures. He was like 35 before I got him to do it, but he's like, oh, it's awesome. So you should really get him.
I so wanted him to, but yeah. Okay. What other thoughts?
That's kind of how I run my goals. I come up with a word, and then I kind of just focus it. And so something I've learned when you just said that, I was like, that's what I should have done last year, is I'm going to put my word for this upcoming year on my bathroom mirror. So I see it every day.
Yeah. So we do that too. We do a lot of bathroom mirror. We just recently did like these Proverbs 31. So I'm doing like this Bible study with some women in my area, and then our daughters, and so we have like affirmations, and we post them to the mirror. Like we
love it.
I love putting things on the bathroom mirror because you just, like you said, you're gonna see it all the time.
Yeah, so I want to do that, and so I'm still pondering and thinking. I haven't yet come up with my word for this next year.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, it's a lot more work than you think. I mean, it's just I put a lot of thought and prayer into it. So sometimes I don't pick it until a couple weeks into the year because I just can't figure it out. But I'm starting early this year.
Well, I think what I was going to say earlier is I love that the piece that you said about that you pray about it too, because like, look what Heavenly Father did for you, like with the 2020 Simplify.
Yeah.
Right. Like that wasn't you. You didn't know that. How could you have predicted? But like Heavenly Father was way ahead of you. Yeah. So I think that's so important. And something that I don't do enough of is making sure when I'm setting goals that I'm being very careful about the goal setting too.
No, I'm definitely the one just like, oh, I'm just going to do this thing on my thing. And so I have learned that like, this is important enough that like, I have to take it and watch for the guidance. And you know what I mean? Because he's the one that steers it. Like he's the one that has allowed me to like create these incredible, I've gotten some really good habits. I feel like I'm in a really good groove because I've gotten all these really good habits that have come without that inspiration of like, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing over here. That reminder. So I finished out strong. How about that? I definitely floundered for a majority of this year, but I finished strong.
Yes, I'm right there with you. I'm finishing strong too. So
yeah. So I'm excited to come back and let's chat about what we can do for this next season. And we can keep each other accountable. That's what I need. I need an accountability partner. I do so much better with accountability.
Oh, me too. 100%.
I cannot be the only one. All right. So I want to know what you guys do. Do you guys pick a word of the year? And if you do, what is your word? Or how do you set your goals? I love it. I know quite a few people that pick words of the year. So I think that's always Yeah. There's actually even, I should see if I can find it, but somewhere there's this like an app or a website where it can pick your word of the year. Like you can,
Oh,
it'll just like pick a word for you with
nice.
no thought or prayer, but like it'll pick a word for you.
So fun.
Sometimes you can actually like Google and it will be like all the words of the year. Like it'll give you like a list because sometimes it helps to just like look through the list and like then it helps you start to think. I actually think that's where that create one came from this year when I was really stumped last year. And so I kind of went and looked through lists of words of the year and just like what resonated. And then I would come back to it and I would think and I would leave and I would, because I don't think I started the year. I think I picked it after the year started. I don't know. I had a really hard time this year.
Oh, well, it was a good word.
Yeah, it was. And it's turned out to be a great year. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I love it. I love goal planning. I love just setting those things. And I'd love to know also when we chat next time, let's chat about our kids, like how we encourage that.
Yeah, that
Because
sounds
that
great.
one always a struggle, I
Yeah.
think. All right, you guys, thanks so much and have a wonderful holiday break. We are going to take a couple weeks off and we will be back at the beginning of January.
See you
Okay.
then.
Have a happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.